Get on that hype train, boy.
G'day peeps and welcome to a video that I'd never make, unless it's Hollow Knight, baby. Yes, that is right, Bug and Metroidvania lovers. Remember how you were all worrying about where that Hornet DLC went? Well, that's because we forgot it was the gracious Team Cherry who were making it, and because yesterday it was announced that Team Cherry have been working on not an expansion pack as they promised, but an entire game focused on Hornet called Hollow Knight Silksong. It was barely a few days ago that it actually popped up on the Steam store page, so you can go check out any information you want on it right now. So the point of this video is pretty much just to discuss the trailer and what different information we get from it and what we can analyze from both the trailer and the different screenshots and information that's been released here and there on the internet. Although some of these might just be rumors and might not actually be a thing that's promised to be in the final game. You know, just warning ya. Remember that Team Cherry actually only promised a DLC, so the fact that they're making an entire game out of it is something we should be very thankful for, and I will be the first to thank you guys for being such busy ants and working on an entire new game for the community. Because not only can I tell just from this trailer that you guys have improved budget-wise, but you also seem to maintain or maybe even overdo that ambition that Hollow Knight had in the first place. And that makes me, not only as a consumer but also a person, really happy that you're putting that much effort into creating something just for us. Thank you. That being said, then let's finally dig deep into this new trailer. Now I know that a bunch of you are still gonna be sitting there kinda skeptical and wondering, is this actually a sequel or is it just a DLC like Team Cherry promised? And I can tell you certainly that it is not. Not only is it stated both in the trailer and on the store page that it's a sequel,
a game. It's a full Hornet gets her own adventure in her own full game.
But it is also stated during the trailer that there's gonna be more than 150 new enemies, the same amount that Hollow Knight approximately had on its release of the base game. And even though the game is called Hollow Knight Silksong, which kinda sounds like Hollow Knight Grim Troop and the other DLCs, then the game doesn't even seem to be taking place in the same setting as the original Hollow Knight. The devs themselves actually addressed that Hornet's gonna be exploring an entirely new kingdom and that this one is also the opposite of Hollow Nest, because instead of going all the way down to the deepest part of the nest, then you actually climb your way through the levels until you reach the very top of the kingdom. Which leads me to the next topic, which is the different new areas. Even though it's kinda hard to tell just from looking at a trailer and looking at screenshots, then we can still see that there's tons of new areas that we haven't seen anything of the like before. There's this green and lush level, which kinda reminds us of Green Garden or the Funkle Wastes, except this seems to be taking more of a focus on a more mossy aesthetic. Then we got a level that kinda reminds us of the Resting Grounds or maybe even the Ancient Basin with the tombstones and grey gothic aesthetic. Then we got this almost underwater inspired level, which kinda looks like it's covered in different kinds of coral. Then we got an area that kind of looks similar to the City of Tears, except it's covered in gold this time around. We've got a bony lava-ish zone, which is something we've never seen before but might be inspired by some of the cut content from Hollow Knight, like the originally planned Bone Forest. We got a steampunk clockwork zone, a clover green shamrock zone, although it might be related to the moss zone, a perhaps white petal themed area, although this might just be like a boss fight arena, a very deep nest feeling like barnacle zone, a hinted return of some of the Grim Troop levels with all the very reddish aesthetics, and then we got not one, but a bunch of towns that seem to be strewn about the map. And even though that might be all the levels we could gather from this one trailer, then that's still 7 to 8 confirmed levels in the game, which is a sizable chunk for a 3-minute video. But enough about levels, enough about confirming suspicions whether or not if this is a sequel. Let's get to what we've all been waiting for, the gameplay. How does Hornet, the major character from the original game, play as a protagonist in comparison to the good old Knight, and what do we have to be excited about? Well, first off, voice acting. For better or worse. But also a lot of fast, diagonal, acrobatic gameplay, as we can see with her ability to not only do long jumps but also dash to her nail, and even jump on little spike blocks. And the reason that this is a game decision that's going to be interesting to see unfold is because the original Hollow Knight had a lot of very vertical and very horizontal gameplay, as the original Knight seemed to move like any other Metroid character, having like a double jump and a sideways dash. So introducing a bigger focus on the diagonal movement is kind of a bold move, but it's going to be interesting to see how it works out. In addition to the new movement, then there's also a new addition to the HUD, which which kinda seems like a stamina meter or maybe an ammo meter for your newly acquired nail weapon. But what exactly it is, we don't really know yet. Hornet is also equipped with a roster of different ranged weapons to use, that being bombs, different kinds of minions, or even saw blade creatures that she can use to slay her enemies. A change that I suspect has replaced the old magic system. But let's be honest, this looks cooler anyway. But that's actually all I've got for the new kind of gameplay combat information that I have at the moment. Although I do have a few more thoughts and things I'd like to point out before ending off this video, because they seem quite important. One of which, perhaps being hugely important, is the new quest system. Now, in case you never played the original game, then Hollow Knight actually never had a real quest system. You sort of just ran around and remembered every single task you wanted to do in your head. Very similar to, and even though I hate to make the comparison, the indirect quest systems of Dark Souls. But in the trailer of Silksong, we get revealed for 1 second or so that there's been added a bulletin board where you can find and do different kinds of quests that the NPCs just sort of give you. A lot of these even being labeled with very typical RPGs terms like gathering job or hunting mission. And as a person who really likes story and really like how they executed the environmental storytelling in the original Hollow Knight game, then I can't say I'm not a little worried about the sort of shallowness of these quests. Because even though these bulletin boards and all these NPCs actually do add life to this world, like they make you feel that this is not the dead world of hollowness anymore, which is a nice change, then every mini quest of the original game seemed to have a sense of purpose because everyone was as desperate as they were. It truly felt like you crossed paths with another stranger, another survivor of this otherwise dead world, and you helped them out in some way, which could range anywhere from helping someone out in a boss fight, or saving someone hypnotized by the plague, to simply delivering a flower because that was that stranger's last wish. So while I do really like the idea that you have more to do in this world now and there's more of these different quests that you can do, perhaps even after the game's finished, then I hope what little storytelling that was in the original game doesn't get lost. Oh yeah, another important thing. Bells. There's a lot of bells in this game. Why? I don't know, maybe the game's bell themed. But anyways, that's all I had for this video. Sorry if it's kind of different and very weird to the people who usually watch my channel, but it's a game that I really like and it's a game that I really like talking about, so hopefully I did manage to make it somewhat entertaining even though it is just basically an announcement video. So sorry if you guys were still displeased. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch all you bugs in Silksong.